Good evening, everybody. We are live here, and we are finally back. It's been a long time since we've had a live stream, and I couldn't be more excited. However, given the circumstances, maybe a little less excited for you guys that are watching here tonight because we've got a lot to talk about here with two potential hurricanes here happening in the Atlantic here. Humberto is already on the home stretch to becoming a hurricane here, or probably overnight tonight into the early portions of tomorrow. We'll probably see that hurricane develop there. But right now, Tropical Storm Humberto is out there looking to actually be a little bit further east and actually a little bit slower in its forward motion here. So that can actually factor into this a lot more than what we anticipated as we kind of move through the next couple days. So that possible interaction between two storms looks a little bit less likely according to models right now as we kind of move through the next 120 hours or so. So a lot to talk about. There's a lot that can happen with this storm, and with the development of this potential tropical storm or hurricane here that could potentially affect our area. So there's a lot of factors. This is a very difficult forecast, and we're working really hard to kind of hone in on that. And I know the National Hurricane Center is just probably pulling their hair out right now at this point to try and bring you guys the most updated, accurate information they possibly can. And that's what I ultimately relay to you guys. So, definitely want to stay on top of this as we move forward. But we are now currently under the stay aware and prepared phase. We definitely want to make sure our hurricane preparedness plans are in place. We have, backup supplies. You want to make sure that you've got batteries. You want to make sure you got wrenches to be able to turn your utilities off if you need to, if something were to happen. Definitely want to have that go bag ready with your social security cards, your copies of your identification, insurance paperwork for your homes, especially along the coast there where you do see surge potential as we kind of move through. Now, intensity levels and things like that, a little really difficult to kind of tell right now. I think what's going to happen is once this develops there near the Bahamas over the weekend here, we're going to start seeing that rapid development of information here as we kind of move forward into the next couple days here. So this is gonna happen really quick, and we need to be really on top of this. And that's why I decided we were going to start bringing this coverage. I was kind of sound the alarm on this, maybe a little bit early here, but that's okay. I'd rather keep you guys aware of what's going on rather than wait a little bit longer. We've been pretty quiet this hurricane season. I haven't really drawn a whole lot of attention. Gabriella and Humberto and several other storms that we could have probably drawn attention to, but they weren't affecting our area, so I didn't feel it was necessary to sound the alarm on those for you guys. So we're going to dive deep in here real quick here this evening. I'm not going to hold you guys very long. There's really not a whole lot to kind of go over right now other than the fact that that potential is there, and it's looking more and more likely for a landfalling situation here in the Carolinas from Georgia to Virginia. I mean, we can see that wobble back and forth here over the next couple days as things start to develop, but we're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on things as they go through. But like I said, get your hurricane preparedness plans ready just in case. You never know. We could see there is a scenario where this goes out to sea, looking a little bit less likely right now, but then there's that chance that it could be sucked up by Humberto, which is again looking a little bit more unlikely. But then that third scenario where it does make landfall in the Carolinas somewhere, that's to be determined as we kind of go through the next week or the next 7 days here as this storm really starts to develop this weekend, and then we'll see that forward motion from there. So what are we looking at here? Let's take a look at the spaghetti models here. This is the most current run of spaghetti models. You can see most of the consensus on those spaghetti models. There are a couple outliers here that show that left turn out or that right turn out to sea. the rest of them showing that landfall here in South Carolina. So a lot of uncertainty there on that, but we're starting to really come a little bit closer to that we're going to see some form of tropical impacts here along the coast in South Carolina. So we're going to keep a close eye on that as we move through the next couple days. But that's the look at the most recent spaghetti models as we kind of move through the evening tonight and kind of progress a little bit further into this. A lot of uncertainties with this, and that's okay. That happens this time of year. However, I know you guys want that information rapidly and very quickly, and we're working very hard to do that, but this is going to be one of those situations where we get into a scenario where things happen very quickly. And over the next couple days, that's probably going to be the case here. So let's not beat up on the news media too much and the forecasters too much. There's really not a whole lot we can do as far as getting this information out to you as quickly as possible. But I'm telling you right now, start preparing now. Don't wait till Sunday. Don't wait till Saturday. Make your preparations as early as tomorrow. Start preparing for this. And if we do see that eventual scenario where it washes out to sea, great. Awesome. We prepared for nothing, but that's awesome. I would rather see you guys do that than not prepare for a storm that does greatly impact our area. So it only takes one storm, and we've seen it last year with Helene. And rainfall potentials with this, we could be seeing potential for flooding up into the mountains of North Carolina again. So that's an area that we're going to be paying close attention to here over the next couple days as well, for that potential for heavy rainfall in the Carolinas up into the mountains of Western and North Carolina as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. The impacts are far greater than just what happens here along the coast, but actually inland far more as well. So that's a look at the spaghetti models here. We're going to hide them here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a few models here. We're going to pop this up. If I can get my screen up here to that. We'll take a close look here at what those models are looking like here. And this is the HWRF. This is putting us out here. We could go all the way back to the Bahamas, but I'm going to keep us a little bit closer here to shore. And this is right in here, and if you guys can see that, hopefully you can see my mouse pointer here, but right in this area is Myrtle Beach, okay? We're right here. So this is looking like closer to landfall in the closer to Wilmington area, North Carolina. That's what the HWRF is showing right now, at a pretty decent Category 1 hurricane here. So we're getting pretty close to a pretty decent storm. But with that, now if you look at, let's not focus on the landfall so much, but let's focus on these outer bands, the rainfall, the significant rainfall that it could bring to the area as we kind of move through. And you watch as we go through, these outer bands go out into western North Carolina as well, which is a major concern for flash flooding in those areas, as well as here along the coast. So definitely want to pay close attention to that. But that's looking like landfall. That's showing Tuesday, early Tuesday. Late Monday night into early Tuesday, the overnight hours. Again, I know you guys hate those overnight storms. I do too, because they're really hard to cover. But we're definitely going to keep an eye on that. And timing is going to change on this over the next couple days. But we'll be live every night to kind of go over those most recent model runs and keep you guys up to date on what that timing might look like. So let's take a look here. We'll do the HMON here. We'll go back a little bit. This is going to change your timing a little bit. This actually puts landfall here in Myrtle Beach, between Georgetown County and North Myrtle Beach here. And that is going to be Monday, September 29th in the afternoon, or early afternoon. So Monday to Tuesday is what we're looking like here so far. But again, bringing those heavy bands of rain into the area. And look at this into western North Carolina. Look at the heavy rain bands moving into western North Carolina. So flash flooding, major concern as we go through those couple days there. getting into the beginning of next week. So timing on this is going to change drastically. So just keep that in mind. This track potential here is going to wobble around, move around. We could all hopes be that in the next couple of days we see that swerve out to sea. But we'll go over why that might happen here and what's going to influence here just in a couple minutes. But we want to continue to look at these models. We'll go to the half-ass B or A, sorry, and we'll run that out here. This is showing, here's Monday evening, early evening, and then into Tuesday morning, making landfall below the Georgetown area, somewhere between Georgetown and Charleston here, at another probably about a Category 1 strength there. But this brings outer bands of rain. This is where we see a little bit more impact here as far as winds and rain go, because we're going to be in that upper quadrant of this storm here if we see that landfall a little bit further south. So this might be a little bit more impactful, and that's why I tell people don't focus on the actual landfall as much. Focus on the outer impacts of those storms, because that's where you're going to see your highest impact is on that upper quadrant of the hurricane here or tropical storm, no matter what it is. So don't focus on so much where the landfall is going to take place, but the outer bands around that storm is where your highest wind speeds are going to be and your biggest impacts as well. So don't focus too much on that, but that does put landfall there south of Myrtle Beach around Tuesday, late overnight hours, Monday into Tuesday again. So timing's getting a little bit closer here on some of these as well. Let's go to the half-ass B. And that's pretty much same thing, landfall there between Charleston and Georgetown, Category 1 hurricane. But again, those outer bands, crazy, just wrapping around out of there, bringing a lot of heavy rainfall inland. And again, that's going to be the overnight hours there between Monday into Tuesday overnight as well. So not a whole lot of difference there as well. So things are really starting to come together. We can take a look at the GFS and see what that might want to show here. It's going to be a little bit, I think, a little bit more in line with that first model there. This is bringing it overnight hours Monday into Tuesday as well. Significant amount of rainfall again. So definitely want to keep a close eye on that as we move through the next couple days. But these are going to change. Let's be honest with you guys. I want to be transparent. Everything I'm saying tonight might be completely different tomorrow. But the consensus is the models are starting to hone in a little bit more and get a little bit closer together in that sense where this is probably going to be the most likely scenario as we move into next week. So just keep that in mind as we kind of move into the upcoming week here. Now, what's happening? Okay, let's talk about what's happening. Okay, so we've got an area of high pressure out here that's kind of building in this way. Okay, and then what our main driving factor here, and this is the kind of what's gonna really steer this thing and really have an impact here, is we've got an area of low pressure that's working this way. Okay, so that's bringing our winds in this way, which is going to kind of act like a steering pattern for this storm to kind of make landfall. Okay, so you get those winds that wrap around counterclockwise to that low pressure. That's going to be our steering for this system. So we're not sure exactly where that low pressure system is going to be and how impactful that's going to be. So over the next 24, 48 hours, we're going to start to get a little bit more consensus on how dominant that low pressure system is going to be and where that's going to drive this track. I mean, it could scenario out this way, scenario out this way, and then we've got these two scenarios here where you put it a little bit closer to Georgia, put a little bit closer to Myrtle Beach, kind of somewhere in between, going out to sea. We don't really know at this point until we really see what the influence of low pressure and this high pressure out here is going to be, and really how quickly Humberto starts to get its move on here and having an impact on the storm as well. So there's three different scenarios that we're really looking at, and any one of them will affect what happens here along the Grand Strand and parts inland up to North Carolina down to Georgia as well. So really going to keep a close eye on a lot of that. So all in all, the point of tonight's live stream is to make sure that people have a plan. Have your plan in place. Know what you're going to do. The evacuation zones, obviously, we have our evacuation zones along the coast, and there's been a lot of questions about, why am I not in an evacuation zone? What am I supposed to do? Those questions are starting to come out. Evacuation zones are surge driven. So if you're not in an area that could be potentially affected by surge from the ocean, you're not in an evacuation zone. So if you're in the Carolina Forest area, Conway, those areas are not affected by the surge like you would be on the coast. So those, you are not considered in an evacuation area. Not meaning you're not going to see impacts from a storm. And I'll tell you what, if you want to leave during a hurricane or a tropical storm, by all means, please, for your own safety, do what you need to do. But you're not required to under an evacuation order. So I do suspect here over the next day or so, we will start, as models start to kind of trend a little bit more towards that landfall here in the Carolinas, we will probably start seeing some tropical watches being issued along the coast, as well as maybe a cone issued by the National Hurricane Center relatively soon. So I don't feel like that's too far off, even without development so far. So we're definitely going to keep a close eye on that over the next 24, 48 hours, but I will definitely keep you guys aware. Tomorrow night we will be live with another live stream, and I will keep you updated every step of the way along the way. You can trust Myrtle Beach Aware to bring you accurate information. We're not clickbait. I'm not giving you guys false one-off model runs of images and things like that. I definitely will advise people that spaghetti models themselves are definitely not worth making a direct forecast on. I've had some questions on that. I posted an image to a community board about the spaghetti models there, and it says right on the image, this is not meant to make forecasts. Seek your official information from the National Hurricane Center, which is also the information that I bring you guys on a regular basis. So don't want to get confused with me posting the spaghetti models versus the actual forecast as we move through the next couple days. So don't get too caught up on those spaghetti models. Let's look at the real models, the real information coming out from the National Hurricane Center, and we'll stay with that. But I will post those spaghetti models because they are interesting. It is a way to begin to start planning your forecast, but it's not the end-all be-all. We don't rely on them to come up with our forecast. So just stick with us over the next couple days. I will be back tomorrow night to give you an update on what is going on and where we're kind of going to go from there, and as far as timings and impacts. And we really don't have a clear vision of what the strength might be and exact landfall. You just don't know. We're going to see that wobble and that change over the next couple of days. So bear with us. This is a very difficult storm to forecast and kind of move through and work through the information. But as the hurricane hunters keep going in there and punching their data into the models, we're going to start seeing models hone in on what exactly we're going to be looking at. So other than that, that's all.